Vaginas.
We were worried about what we think about vaginas, even more that we don't think about them. We were worried about our own vaginas. They needed a context of other vaginas, a community, a culture of vaginas. There's so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them, like the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody ever reports back from there.
In the first place, it's not so easy to even find your vagina. Women go weeks, months, sometimes years without looking at it. A high-powered businesswoman was interviewed. She said she was too busy. She didn't have the time. Looking at your vagina, she said, is a full day's work. You have to get down there, on your back, in front of a mirror that's standing on its own. Full length preferred. You've got to get in the perfect position with the perfect light, which is then somehow shadowed by the mirror and the angle you're looking at. You get all twisted up. You're arching your head up, tilting your back. You're exhausted by then. She said she didn't have the time for that. She was busy. So, there were vagina interviews which became Vagina Monologues. Over 200 women were interviewed. Older women, young women, married women, lesbians, single women, college professors, actors, corporate professionals, sex workers, African American women, Asian American women, Hispanic women, Native American women, Caucasian women, Jewish women. Okay. At first, women were reluctant to talk. They were a little shy. But once they got going, you couldn't stop them. Women secretly love to talk about their vaginas. They get really excited. Maybe because no one's ever asked them before.
Let's just start with the word, vagina. It sounds like an infection at best, merely a medical instrument. Hurry, nurse, bring me the vagina. Vagina, vagina. Doesn't matter how many times you say it, it never sounds like a word you want to say. If you use it during sex, trying to be politically correct, darling, could you stroke my vagina? You killed the act right there.
We were worried about vaginas, what we call them and don't call them.
In Great Neck, New York, they call it a pussycat. A woman there said that her mother used to tell her, don't wear panties underneath your pajamas, dear, you need to air out your pussycat.
In Manchester, they called it a muff.
In Sutton, a snatch.
A powder box, a poochie, a poopy, a peeper, a poopaloo, a punani, a pal, and a peach.
Toady, Dee, Dignity, monkey box.
Coochie snorcher, cooter, labbe.
Gladys Siegelman.
VA, wee wee, horse spot, nappy dugout.
Mongo mookie, a pajama, fanny boo, mushmallow.
Ghoulie, possible, tamale, totita, Connie.
A gash in Guildford.
A beaver in Bromley.
And a minge in Morden.
We're worried about vaginas. Some of the monologues are based on one woman's story. Some of the monologues are based on several women's stories surrounding the same theme. And, a few times, a good idea became an outrageous one. This monologue is based on one woman's story, although the subject came up in every interview and was often fraught, the subject being
hair. You can't love a vagina unless you love hair. But many people don't love hair. My first and only husband hated hair. He said it was cluttered and dirty. He made me shave my vagina. It looked puffy and exposed and like a little girl. This excited him. When he made love to me, my vagina felt the way a beard must feel. It felt good to rub it, and painful, like scratching a mosquito bite. I felt like it was on fire. There were screaming red bumps. I refused to shave it again. Then, my husband had an affair. When we went to marital therapy, he said he screwed around because I wouldn't please him sexually. I wouldn't shave my vagina. The therapist had a German accent and gasped between sentences to show her empathy. She asked me why I didn't want to please my husband. And I told her I thought it was weird. I felt little when my hair was gone down there. I couldn't help talking in a baby voice. And the skin got irritated, and even calamine lotion wouldn't help it. She told me marriage was a compromise. I asked her if shaving my vagina would stop him from screwing around. I asked if she'd had many cases like this before. She said questions diluted the process. I needed to jump in. She was sure it was a good beginning. This time, when we got home, he got to shave my vagina. It was like a therapy bonus prize. He clipped it a few times, and there was a little blood in the bathtub. He didn't even notice it, because he was so happy shaving me. Then later, when my husband was pressing against me, I could feel his spiky sharpness sticking into me. My naked, puffy vagina. There was no protection. There was no fluff. And I realized then that hair is there for a reason. It's the leaf around the flower, the lawn around the house. You have to love hair in order to love the vagina. You can't pick the parts you want. Besides, my husband never stopped screwing around.
Some are kinda scary, and this is what they're called. Vagina, vagina. They call that thing vagina.
All of the women were asked the following questions.
If your vagina got dressed, what would it wear?
Glasses.
A beret. A leather jacket.
Silk stockings.
Mink.
A pink boa?
A male tuxedo.
Jeans.
Something form-fitting.
Emeralds.
An evening gown.
Sequins.
Armani only.
A tutu.
See-through black underwear.
A taffeta ball gown.
Something machine washable.
Costume eye mask.
Purple velvet pajamas.
Angora.
A red bow.
Ermine and pearls.
A leopard hat.
A silk kimono. Sweatpants.
A tattoo.
An electrical shock device to keep unwanted strangers away.
High heels.
Lace and combat boots.
Purple feathers. Twigs. And shells.
Cotton.
A pinnacle.
A bikini. A slicker.
If your vagina could speak, what would it say? 2 words.
Slow down.
Is that you?
Feed me. I want.
Yum yum.
Oh, yeah. Start again.
No, over there.
La la la, lick me.
Stay home. Brave choice.
Think again.
More, please.
Embrace me.
Let's play.
Don't stop. More, more.
Remember me.
Come inside.
Not yet.
Whoa, mama.
Yes. Yes. Rock me. Enter at your own risk.
Oh, God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Find me.
Thank you.
Bonjour. Too hard.
Don't give up. Where's Brian?
That's better.
Yes. There. There.
interviewed. These interviews were the most poignant. One woman, who was 72, had never even seen her vagina. She washed herself in the shower and bath, but never with conscious intention. Then, at 72, she went into therapy, and with the help of her therapist, she went home one afternoon by herself, lit some candles, took a bath, played some music, and she got down with herself. She said it took her over an hour because she was arthritic, but when she finally found her clitoris, she said she cried. This monologue is for her.
Down there. I haven't been down there since 1953. No, it had nothing to do with Eisenhower. No. It's a cellar down there. It's very damp, clammy. You don't want to go down there, trust me. You get sick, suffocating, very nauseating. The smell of the clamminess and the mildew and everything. Smells unbearable. Gets in your clothes. No, there was no accident down there. It didn't blow up or catch fire or anything. It wasn't so dramatic. I mean, well, never mind. No, never mind. I can't tell you this. What's a young girl like you going around talking to old ladies about that down there's for? We didn't do this kind of a thing when I was a girl. What? Jesus. Okay. There was this boy, Andy Lefkoff. He was cute, well, I thought so, and tall, like me, and I really liked him. He took me out on a date in his car. I can't tell you this. I can't do this, talk about down there. You just know it's there, like the cellar. There are rumbles down there sometimes, and you can hear the pipes. And things get caught, little animals and things. And it gets wet, and sometimes people have to plug up the leaks. But otherwise, the door stays closed. You forget about it. I mean, it's a part of the house, but you don't see it or think about it. Has to be there, though, because every house needs a cellar. Otherwise, the bedroom would be in the basement. Oh, Andy Lefkoff. Right. Andy was a good-looking boy. He was a catch. That's what we called it in my day. We were in his car, a new white Chevy Bel Air. I remember thinking that my legs were too long for the seat. I have long legs. They were smushed up against the dashboard. I was looking at my big kneecaps when he just kissed me in this surprisingly take me by control, like they do in the movies kind of way. And I got excited. So excited. Well, there was a flood down there. I couldn't control it. It was like this force of passion, this river of life just flooded out of me. Right through my panties, right onto the car seat of his new white Chevy Bel Air. It wasn't pink, and it was smelly. Well, frankly, I didn't smell anything at all. But he said, Andy said, that it smelled like sour milk, and it was staining his car seat. I was a stinky, weird girl, he said. I wanted to explain to him that his kiss had caught me off guard. I wasn't normally like this. I tried to wipe the flood up with my dress. It was a new yellow primrose dress, and it looked so ugly with the flood on it. Andy drove me home without another word. And when I got out and closed the car door, I closed the whole store, locked it, never opened for business again. I dated a few after that, but the idea of flooding made me too nervous, and I never even got close again. I used to have dreams, crazy dreams. Oh, they're dopey. Why? Burt Reynolds. I don't know why. He never did much for me in life, but in my dreams, it was always Burt and I. Burt and I, Burt and I. It was always the same general dream. We'd be out, Burt and I. It'd be in some restaurant, the kind you see in Atlantic City, all big with chandeliers and thousands of waiters with the vests. He'd give me an orchid corsage. I'd pin it on my blazer. We'd laugh. We were always laughing, Bert and I. Laughing, laughing. We'd eat shrimp cocktail, huge shrimp, fabulous shrimp. We'd laugh more. We were very happy together. And then he'd look deep into my eyes and pull me to him in the middle of the restaurant. And just as he was about to kiss me, the whole restaurant would start to shake. Pigeons would fly out from under the table. I don't know what those pigeons were doing there. And the flood would come straight from down there. It would pour out of me. It would pour and pour. There would be fish inside it, and little boats, and the whole restaurant would fill with my flood. Bert would be standing waist deep in it, looking horribly disappointed in me that I'd done it again. Horrified as he watched his friends, Dean Martin and the like, swim past us in their tuxedos and their evening gowns. I don't have those dreams anymore. Not since they took away just about everything connected with down there. Moved out the uterus, the tubes, the whole works. The doctor thought he was being funny. He said, if you don't use it, you lose it. But really, I found out it was cancer. Everything around it had to go. Yeah. Who needs it anyway? Highly overrated. I've done other things. I love the dog shows. I sell antiques. What would it wear? What kind of a question is that? What would it wear? Would wear a big sign, closed due to flooding. What would it say? I told you, it's not like that. It's not like a person who speaks. Stopped being a thing that talked a long time ago. It's a place you don't go. It's closed up under the house. It's down there. You happy? You made me talk. You got it out of me. You got an old lady to talk about her down there. You feel better now? Actually, you're the first person I ever told about this. And I feel a little better.
Doesn't it awfully nice to have a penis? So 3 jars of gold for you, what young Thomas? Put it there if you're one-eyed child to say. Your piece of pork, your wife's best friend, your Percy, or your cock. Wrap it up as you can slip it in.
Here is a vagina happy fact. This is from Woman, an Intimate Geography by Natalie Amjad.
The clitoris is pure in purpose. It's the only organ in the body designed purely for pleasure. The clitoris is simply a bundle of nerves, 8,000 nerve fibres to be precise. That's a higher concentration of nerve fibres than is found anywhere else in the male or female body, including the fingertips, lips and tongue. And it is twice the number in the penis. Who needs a handgun when you've got a semi-automatic?
Stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come alive. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the street, the traffic starts talking. Folks like me on the job when I'm 5.
This monologue is based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man.
This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I mean, I know. It should have happened in a bath with salt grains from the Dead Sea, Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies, unite! I know all of it. Like, if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down the milkshakes and the Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, but I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of these women who had looked at it and from that moment on, wished I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture. Cozy futons with light cotton comforters, little velvet settees, leopard rugs, or pretty things. Silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, place settings. I grew so accustomed to this that I lost all memory of having a vagina. When a man was inside me, I pictured him inside a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then, I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I ever met. He was thin and tall, nondescript, and wore khaki tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy food or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In summer, he spent time in the shade. Bob did not share his inner feelings. He had no problems or issues. He wasn't even an alcoholic. He wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable, self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change that I dropped on the deli floor. When he handed me back my coppers and pennies, and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. That's when the miracle occurred. Turned out, Bob loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they felt, the way they tasted, the the way they smelled, but most importantly, he loved the way they looked. First time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. I'm right here, I said. No, you, he said. I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light. Then he said, okay, I'm ready. Ready to see you. Right here, I waved. I'm right here. Then he began to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I said. I need to see you, he replied. No need, I said. Just do it. I need to see what you look like, he said. But you've seen a red leather couch before, I said. Oh, Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is awfully intimate, Bob. Can't you just do it? No, he said. It's who you are. I need to look. I held my breath. He looked and looked. He got breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. You're so beautiful, he said. You're so elegant and deep, innocent and wild. You saw that there, I said. I saw that, he said, and more, much, much more. He stayed looking for almost an hour. As if he were studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes. But it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. Began to see myself the way he saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell, began to feel pride. I began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there, and I was there with him, in my vagina. And we were gone.
Not-so-happy fact found in UNICEF's 2005 report, Female Genital Mutilation and Cutting, a statistical exploration.
Female genital mutilation has been inflicted on approximately 130 million girls and young women. In the 28 countries where it is practiced, mostly in Africa, about 3 million young girls a year can expect the knife, or the razor, or a glass shard to cut their clitoris or remove it altogether. In a man, it would range from amputation of most of the penis to removal of all of the penis. Short-term results include tetanus, hemorrhages, cuts in the urethra, bladder, and vaginal walls. Long-term, chronic uterine infection, increased agony and danger during childbirths, and early deaths.
My vagina's angry. It is. It's pissed off. My vagina's furious, and it needs to talk. It needs to talk about all this shit. It needs to talk to you. I mean, what's the deal? An army of people out there thinking up ways to torture my poor-ass, gentle, loving vagina, spending their days constructing psycho products and nasty ideas to undermine my pussy. Vagina motherfuckers. All this shit they're constantly trying to shove up us, clean us up, stuff us up, make it go away. Well, my vagina's not going away. It's pissed off and it's staying right here. Like tampons. What the hell is that? A dry wad of fucking cotton stuffed up there. Why can't they find a way to subtly lubricate the tampon? As soon as my vagina sees it, it goes into shock. It says, forget it. It closes up. You have to work with the vagina. Introduce it to things. Prepare the way. That's what foreplay's all about. You've got to convince my vagina, seduce my vagina, engage my vagina's trust. You can't do that with a dry wad of fucking cotton. Stop shoving things up me. Stop shoving and stop trying to clean it up. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up. It smells good already. Don't try to decorate. Don't believe him when he tells you it smells like rose petals when it's supposed to smell like pussy. That's what they're doing, trying to clean it up, make it smell like a bathroom spray or a garden. All those douche sprays. Floral, berry, rain. I don't want my pussy to smell like rain, all cleaned up like washing a fish after you've cooked it. I want to taste the fish. That's why I ordered it. Then there are those exams. Who thought them up? There's got to be a better way to do those exams. Why the scary paper dress that scratches your tits and crunches when you lie down so you feel like a wad of paper someone threw away? Why the rubber gloves? Why the flashlight all up there like Nancy Drew working on Why the Nazi steel stirrups? The mean, cold duck lips they shove inside you. What's that? My vagina's angry about those visits. Gets defended weeks in advance. It won't go out of the house. Then you get there. Don't you hate that?
Scoot down. Relax your vagina.
Why, so you can shove mean cold duck lips inside it? I don't think so. Why can't they find some nice, delicious purple velvet and wrap it around me? Lay me down on some feathery cotton spread. Put on some nice friendly pink or blue gloves and rest my feet in fur-covered stirrups. Warm up the duck lips. Work with my vagina. But no, more tortures. Dry wad of fucking cotton, cold duck lips and thong underwear. That's the worst. Thong underwear. Who thought that up? Moves around all the time and gets stuck in the back of your crusty butt. Vagina's supposed to be loose and wide, not held together. That's why girdles are so bad. We need to be able to move and spread and talk and talk. Vaginas need comfort. Make something like that. Something to give them pleasure. No, of course they won't do that. Hate to see a woman having pleasure, particularly sexual pleasure. I mean, make a nice pair of soft cotton underwear with a French tickler built in. Women would be coming all day long. Coming in the supermarket. Coming on the subway. Coming happy vaginas. They wouldn't be able to stand it, seeing all those energized, not taking shit, hot, happy vaginas. If my vagina could talk, it would talk about itself like me. It would talk about other vaginas. It would do vagina impressions. It would wear Harry Winston diamonds. No clothing, just there, all draped in diamonds. My vagina helped release a giant baby. It thought it would be doing more of that. It's not. Now, it wants to travel. Doesn't want a lot of company. It wants to read and know things and get out more. It wants sex. It loves sex. It wants to go deeper. It's hungry for depth. It wants kindness. It wants change. It wants silence and freedom and gentle kisses and warm liquids and deep touch. It wants chocolate. It wants to scream. It wants to stop being angry. It wants to want. It wants it. My vagina. Well, it wants everything.
Bosnian women refugees were interviewed during the war in Yugoslavia in refugee camps and centres. 20 to 70,000 women were raped in the middle of Europe as a systematic tactic of war. It's shocking to see how little people did to stop it. But then again, in the UK, each year, about 55,000 women are raped, which is another kind of war. This monologue is based on one woman's story. We do it tonight for that woman and the extraordinary women of Bosnia and Kosovo.
My vagina was green, water soft, pink fields, cow mooing, sun resting, sweet boyfriend touching lightly with soft piece of blonde straw. There is something between my legs. I do not know what it is. I do not know where it is. I do not touch. Not now. Not anymore. Not since. My vagina is chatty. Can't wait. So much saying, words talking. Can't quit trying, can't quit saying. Oh yes, oh yes. Not since I dream there's a dead animal sewn in down there with thick black fishing line. And the bad dead animal smell cannot be removed. And its throat is slit and it bleeds through all my summer dresses. My vagina singing all girl songs, all goat bell ringing songs, all wild autumn field songs, vagina songs, vagina home songs. Not since the soldiers put a long, thick rifle inside me. So cold, the steel rod cancelling my heart. Don't know whether they're going to fire it or shove it through my spinning brain. 6 of them. Monstrous doctors with black masks shoving bottles off me too. There were sticks and the end of a broom. My vagina swimming river water. Clean spilling water over sun-baked stones, over stone clit. Clit stone, over and over. Not since I heard the skin tear and made lemon screeching sounds. Not since a piece of my vagina came off in my hand. A part of the lip. Now one side of the lip is completely gone. My vagina, a live, wet water village. My vagina, my hometown. Not since they took turns for 7 days smelling like feces and smoked meat. They left their dirty sperm inside me. I became a river of poison and pus, and all the crops died, and the fish. My vagina, a live, wet water village. They invaded it, butchered it, and burned it down. I do not touch now, do not visit. I live someplace else now. I don't know where that is.
In the hundreds of interviews with homeless women over the course of 13 years, only one woman was not sexually abused as a little girl or raped as a young woman. For most of these women, home is a very scary place, a place they have fled. The shelters are ironically the first places where many of them ever find safety, protection, or comfort. This is a woman's story as she told it. What isn't in the story is the fact that this woman met another woman in a shelter, and they fell in love, and through their love, they both got out of the shelter system.
December 1965, 5 years old. My mama tells me in a scary, loud, life-threatening voice to stop scratching your coochie snatcher. I become terrified that I scratched it off down there. I don't touch myself again, even in the bath. I'm scared of the water getting in and filling me up so I explode. I put band-aids to cover up my coochie, but they fall off in the water. I imagine a stopper, a bathtub plug up there to prevent things from entering me. I sleep with 3 pairs of happy, half-pattern underpants underneath my snap-up pajamas. I still want to touch myself sometimes, but I don't. Seven years old. Edgar Montaigne, who is 10, gets angry at me and punches me with all his might in between my legs. It feels like he breaks my entire self. I limp home. I can't pee. My mama asked me, "What's wrong with your coochie snatcher?" And when I tell her what Edgar did to me, she yells at me and says, "Never to let anyone touch you down there again." I try to explain to her. He didn't touch it, Mama. He punched it. "9 years old. I play on the bed, bouncing and falling, and I impale my coochie snatcher on the bedpost. I make high-pitched screaming noises that come straight from my coochie snatcher's mouth. I get taken to the hospital, and they sew it up down there where it's been torn apart. 10 years old. I'm at my father's house, and he's having a party upstairs. Everyone's drinking. I'm playing alone in the basement, trying on this new white brown panties my father's girlfriend gave me. Suddenly, my father's best friend, this big man, Alfred, he comes up from behind me and he pulls down my new underpants and he sticks his big, hard penis inside my coochie snatcher. I scream, I kick, I try to fight him off, but he already gets it in. My father is there then, and he has a gun. And then there's this loud, horrible noise. And there's blood all over Alfred and me. Lots of blood. I'm sure my coochie snatcher is finally falling out. Alfred is paralyzed for life. And my mama doesn't let me see my father for 7 years. "13 years old. My coochie snatcher is a very bad place. It's a place of pain, nastiness, punching, invasion and blood. It's a site for mishaps. It's a bad luck zone. I imagine a freeway in between my legs, and I'm traveling far, far away from here. "16 years old. There is this gorgeous 24-year-old woman in my neighborhood, and I stare at her all the time. One day, she invites me into her car. She asks me if I like to kiss boys. I tell her no, I do not like that. Then she says she wants to show me something. She leans over and she kisses me so softly on the lips, with her lips. And she puts her tongue in my mouth. Wow. She asks me if I want to come over to her house. Then she kisses me again. She tells me to relax, to feel it, to let our tongues feel it. She asked my mama if I could spend the night. And my mother is so delighted that such a beautiful, successful woman has taken an interest in me. I'm scared, but I can't wait. Her apartment is fantastic. She has got it hooked up. It's the 70s, the bids, the fluffy pillows, the mood lights. I decide right there that I want to be a secretary like her when I grow up. She makes a vodka for herself. And then she asks me what I would like to drink. I say the same as she's drinking. She says, that she doesn't think my mama will like me drinking vodka. I say, well, she probably wouldn't like me kissing girls either. The pretty lady makes me a drink. Then she changes into this chocolate satin teddy. She is so beautiful. I always thought bulldaggers were ugly. I say, you look great. She says, so do you. I say, but I only have this white cotton bra and underpants. Then she dresses me slowly in another satin teddy. It's lavender, like the first soft days of spring. The alcohol has gone into my head and I'm loose and ready. There's a picture over her bed of a naked black woman with a huge afro. She gently and slowly lays me down in the bed, and just our bodies rubbing makes me calm. Then she does everything to me and my coochie snatcher that I always thought was nasty before, and wow, I'm so hot, I'm so wild. She says, your vagina, untouched by man, smells so nice, so fresh. Wish I could keep it that way forever. Now I'm crazy wild. And then the phone rings, and of course, it's my mama. I'm sure she knows. She catches me at everything. I'm breathing heavy, but I try to act normal when I get on the phone. She asks me, what's wrong with you? Have you been running? I say, no, mama, exercising. Then she tells the beautiful secretary to make sure I'm not around any boys. The lady tells her, trust me, there ain't no boys around here. Afterwards, the gorgeous lady teaches me everything there is to know about my coochie snatcher. She makes me play with myself in front of her. She teaches me all the different ways there is to give myself pleasure. She's very thorough. She says to always know how to give myself pleasure, so I never need to rely on a man. In the morning, I'm worried that I've become a butch because I am so in love with her. She laughs, but I never see her again. I realized that she was my surprising, unexpected, and politically incorrect salvation. She transformed my sorry-ass coochie snatcher and raised it into a kind of heaven.
We've created a map of vagina-friendly places. Welcome, Imperial. They're wild for vaginas in Pittsburgh. In fact, a woman from Pittsburgh was obsessed about a particular word, a pejorative word used to describe the vagina. Her mission was to reconceive the word.
I call it cunt. I've reclaimed it. Cunt. I really like it. Cunt. Listen to it. Cunt. inviting sharkskin oo. Uniform, under, up, urge, oo. Then kun. Snub letters fitting perfectly together. Nest. Now, nexus. Nice. Nice. Always deaf. Always round and uppercase. Kun. A jagged, wicked electrical pulse. Then soft and warm. Kun. Then then sharp, certain, tangy Texture, take, tent, tight, tantalizing, tensing, taste, time, tactile, tell me, cunt, say it, tell me, cunt, say it, come on, you can do it, say it, cunt.
What would it wear?
Red high tops and a Mets cap worn backwards.
If your vagina could speak, what would it say?
It would say words that begin with V and T. Turtle and violin are examples.
What does your vagina remind you of?
A pretty dark peach, or a diamond I found from a treasure, and it's mine.
What's special about your vagina?
Somewhere deep inside, it has a really, really smart brain.
What does it smell like?
Snowflakes.
Relationships with their vaginas. This particular woman blows my mind. She was a sex worker, but she only did sex work with women.
I love vaginas. I love women. I do not see them as separate things. Women pay me to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come. I did not start out like this. No, to the contrary. I started out as a lawyer. But in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts, but then I got involved in it. I got very good at it. Kind of a brilliant. It was my art. I started getting paid for it. It was as if I had found my calling. I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women. Lace and silk, leather. And I used props, whips, handcuffs, rope, dildos. There was nothing like this in tax law. There were no props, no excitement. And I hated those blue corporate suits. Although I wear them now from time to time in my new line of work, and they serve quite nicely. There were no props in corporate law, no wetness, no dark, mysterious foreplay, no erect nipples, no delicious mouths. But mainly, there was no moaning. This was the key. I see now, moaning was the thing that ultimately seduced me. and got me addicted to making women happy. When I was a little girl and I would see women in the movies making love, making strange, orgasmic, moaning noises, I used to laugh. I got strangely hysterical. I could not believe that big, outrageous, ungoverned sounds like that came out of women. I longed to moan. I practiced in front of my mirror on a tape recorder, moaning in various keys, various tones. But always when I played it back, it sounded fake. It was fake. It wasn't rooted in anything sexual, really, only in my desire to be sexual. But then when I was 10, I had to pee really badly once, on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour, and when I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting. I moaned. I moaned as I peed. I couldn't believe it. Me moaning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized right then that moans are connected with not getting what you want right away, with putting things off. I realized the moans were best when they caught you by surprise. They came out of this hidden, mysterious part of you that was speaking its own language. I realized the moans were, in fact, that language. I became a moaner. It made most men anxious. Frankly, it terrified them. I was loud, and they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing. They'd lose focus. Then they'd lose everything. We couldn't make love in people's homes. The walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building, and people stared at me with contempt in the elevator. Men thought I was too intense. Some called me insane. I began to feel bad about moaning. I got quiet and polite. I learned to choke my moan, hold it back like a sneeze. I began to get headaches and stress-related disorders. I was becoming hopeless when I discovered women. I discovered that most women loved my moaning, but more importantly, I discovered how deeply excited I got when other women moaned, when I was responsible for other women moaning. I made love to quiet women, and I found this place inside them, and they shocked themselves in their moaning. I made love to moaners, and they found a deeper, more penetrating moan. It was a kind of surgery, a kind of delicate science, finding the tempo, the exact location or home of the moan. That's what I called it. Sometimes I found it over a woman's jeans. Sometimes I snuck up on it, off the record, quietly disarming the surrounding alarms and moving in. Sometimes I used force, but not violent, oppressing force, more like dominating. I'm going to take you someplace. Don't worry, lay back and enjoy the ride kind of force. Sometimes it was simply mundane. I found the moment before things even started, while we were eating salad or chicken, just casual, just right there, with my fingers. Here it is, like that. Real simple, in the kitchen, all mixed in with the balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I used props. I loved props. Sometimes I made the woman find her own moan in front of me. I waited. Stuck it out. I wasn't fooled by the minor, more obvious moans. No, I pushed her further all the way into her power moan. There's the clit moan. The vaginal moan. Oh, the combo clit vaginal moan. There's the almost moan. The right on it moan. The elegant moan. The grey slick moan. Oh, yeah! The wasp moan. The Jewish moan. No. The African American moan. Oh, shit. The mountaintop moan. The Irish Catholic moan. Forgive me. The baby moan. The doggy moan. The uninhibited militant bisexual moan. The machine gun moan. The tortured Zen moan. The diva moan. The college moan. Should be studying. I should be studying. And finally, the surprise triple orgasm moan.
Of birth. This was a bizarre omission. But recently, a male journalist asked, what's the connection? Our author, Eve Ensler, was present at the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vaginas before that moment. She's in deep worship now.
I was there when her vagina opened. Oh, we were all there. Her mother, her husband and I, and the nurse from the Ukraine, with her whole hand up there in her vagina, feeling and turning with her rubber glove as she talked casually to us, like she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there when the contractions made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans leak out of her pores, and still there after hours when she just screamed, suddenly wild, her arms striking at the electric air. I was there when her vagina changed from a shy sexual hole to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel, a Venetian canal, a deep well with a tiny stuck child inside waiting to be rescued. I saw the colours of her vagina. They changed. I saw the bruised, broken blue, the blistering tomato red, the greyish pink, the dark. Saw the blood like perspiration along the edges, the yellow-white liquid, the shit, the clots, pushing out all the holes, pushing harder and harder. Saw through the hole the baby's head. Scratches of black hair, saw it just there behind the bone. A hard, round memory, as the nurse from the Ukraine just kept turning and turning her slippery hand. I was there when each of us, her mother and I, held a leg and spread her wide, pushing with all our strength against her pushing, and her husband sternly counting 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. We looked into her then. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place. We forget the vagina, all of us. What else would explain our lack of awe, our lack of reverence? I was there when the doctor reached in with Alice in Wonderland's spoons, and there, as her vagina became a wide operatic mouth, singing with all its strength. First, the little head, and then the grey flopping arm, and then the fast swimming body, swimming quickly into our weeping arms. I was there later, when I turned and faced her vagina. I stood and I let myself see her all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen and torn, bleeding all over the doctor's hands, who was calmly sewing her there. I stood and her vagina became a wide, red, pulsing heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice. So is the vagina. The heart can forgive and repair. It can change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us and stretch for us, die for us and bleed us into this wonderful, difficult world. I was there in the room. I remember.
Interviews with women from the Oglala Lakota Nation on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. Their stories reflect the challenges that Native women face every day, living in isolation and without resources. According to the Amnesty International report, Maze of Injustice, the average annual rate of rape and sexual assault among American Indian women is 2.5 times higher than all other races.
He wanted to go out. He said to me, "You stay home." I said, "I wanted to go out." He said, "You have a baby." I said, "It's our baby." I laid the baby down. He probably felt my tension, because he was whimpering. The baby. I looked up, and he slapped me. My husband. Not a blast that knocks your eyes blue. That came later. This was a smack. A hard, domestic smack. I looked up. He was smiling. I couldn't believe it. He was smiling. He slapped me again. His dad was vicious to his mother. He was smiling. What was that? He was the nicest person. He had long black hair. Combing that long hair, when we made love, it got loose. Before. He took me to the dinner, made me go out with his boss. I didn't want to go. He kicked me under the table, told me to smile, told me to act happy. I smiled. He kicked me again, asked me who I was trying to fuck, asked me to stop coming on to everybody. I stopped smiling. This went on and on. Outside the restaurant, he grabbed me by my hair, pulled me to the curb. It had been snowing. He buried me in the snow, pounded me in the gutter. The snow was melting. It got wet and sloppy. My hair felt like it was bleeding. I ran to... He was drinking. I was too. I must have blacked out. I woke up in the hospital after 5 brain surgeries. My hair was gone. They had shaved it off. I had to relearn how to talk, how to move my arms. It took me 4 months to remember how to make breakfast. I remember putting the egg in the pan with the bacon. I knew the egg felt right. I just didn't remember to crack the shell open. Just the egg in the pan, in its shell. My head was bald. After 18 years, he beat me. In the mornings, when he was so nice again, I would braid his hair. I would take my time, like I cared so much, and I would do it perfectly crooked. I would make the hairs, they stood up, all crazy like. Then he'd go, forgetting that the bruises on my face were his handprints. He'd walk, all cocky in the street, all macho in the road, but his braid would be so stupid and wrong-looking. It just shouldn't have made me that happy. It just really shouldn't have made me that happy. He was out with a woman, making love. And she was fluffing his hair while he was wild on top of her. He came home much later, and his hair was braided up all right and tight. He passed out from the drinking. Then I got up, scissors in hand, as he snored, and walked over to him and just cut the braid off, completely off, and put in his hand so that when he woke up, he screamed, "What the fuck? I am going to kill you." Then he jumped up. But I had tied his shoes together, so he couldn't run after me. I didn't go back to him for 3 years, until I knew that his hair had grown back out. I didn't want to have sex with him. He was drunk. It was just a piece of meat to him, a big hole. I tried to pretend I was asleep. He elbowed me, jerked me, pulled me up. I remember thinking, just get it over with. But he was soft and kept pumping and pumping until I was sore. I tried to tell him it didn't feel good. He said to me, "Who were you with? Was he bigger than me? Did you enjoy it? You're like a mouse with a lion. You have to be fast to get to the door." He picked me up like I was a rag. His eyes were numb. I could hear my son screaming. His mouth was wide open, and his tonsils, I could see his tonsils. My husband beat the shit out of me. He wrapped my long black hair around his hand, jerked my head. I tried to get to my son. "That's not your son," he said to me, holding my hair in his fist. "That's not your son anymore." Now he calls me, middle of night, weeping. He says he didn't mean to beat his wife. He didn't mean to batter her. He's suicidal. He knows what his mother went through. But he can't stop my son. They took our land. They took our ways. They took our men. We want them back.